Brighten Your Stitch with Haley, and today we're going to be learning about the back stitch. This is a fundamental stitch when it comes to other stitches and learning it. So the very first step we're going to do is we're going to bring our needle up through point A, and we're going to take one step back to point B. Now the idea is that we all have equal length segments that are connected with each other. So once you pull that down lightly, we want to make sure that the thread is flush against the fabric. Then we're going to advance 2 steps forward into point C. Now this is all a guesstimate. You're welcome to pre-plot out your points in advance with a pen if you feel so, but otherwise most of the time it's just guessing. So once you pull your thread up to point C, you're going to want to pull it tight. So now the stitch on the back should be twice as long as the stitch on the front. You're going to go back 1 step, and then we are going to advance forward another 2 steps this time. So we're going to get into this pattern of going forward 2 steps, taking 1 step back, forward 2, 1 step back, and so forth. We're going to keep repeating this until the end of the stitch. Now you might be wondering, because I said guesstimate before, there is a little bit of a science to it. How long your segment is going to be depends on what you're doing, and in this case I'm looking at a curved, and if I'm working on a curve I want to make sure my segments are shorter to accommodate for the curve. If I'm working on a straight segment I might choose longer segments. I probably wouldn't go more than half of an inch, but in this case let's move on to this real world example. I'm going to start this a little bit differently. In this case I'm going to start from the bottom, and I'm going to advance forward 1 step. And then I'm going to advance forward 1 step from the back, and then I'm going to go back 1. Now I'm going to continue the pattern that we talked about before, which is now forward 2, back 1, and repeat that until the end. Now if you notice very closely that every time I insert my needle into the previous stitch, I'm going through the same hole. This is going to make sure that your back stitch looks connected, because even though it's just a couple threads, sometimes I still notice the difference. So now that I'm approaching the end, I'm going to show you how to do a whipped back stitch. So I'm going to finish up my last stitch. I'm going to come back up through the fabric, and I'm going to pick one consistent direction to feed my needle through. And I'm just wrapping it around. The more segments that you have, the more twisted look you're going to get. And when you're ready, just bring your needle through that last segment there. Boom, tie off your thread, all finished. Now this one's a little bit different. You can be less precise with this example. However, the principle is still the same. So happy stitching, and I'll see you at the next step.